We are living in a world where we are suffocating creativity, blinded by narratives, and losing our freedoms. But not anymore. Rumble, a video platform celebrating freedom, creative independence, immunity to cancel culture, protecting a free and open internet. Be authentic, be brave, be free. Join Rumble today.
And now for our feature presentation.
Hey everybody, this is Armando Torres, and you're listening to the show before the show.
And I'm Paige Wesley.
And with us we have...
a bunch of commoners who don't know how to fight.
Oh no, what's gonna happen to them? Well, I guess you're gonna have to listen to find out. That's right, losers. This is the show before the show where we tell you that this was a great episode. And it was. We're covering we're covering the Inquisition as well as a bunch of other related tertiary stuff too, and it is so fun because I didn't realize how stupid this all was. I mean, I knew it was terrible, I knew it was awful, but you never realize just quite how dumb history is.
Right.
And so this is a look inside stupid history, and I am so very excited that Paige has brought this to us, and as we talk about later, happy that we're starting it on the former Columbus Day.
Yeah, former Columbus Day, now Indigenous Peoples Day.
Hell yeah.
This is such a fun one, but we kind of had to get through this one to get to the next one, which is bonkers. So I'm excited to get to the next one, which is bonkers, and then the subsequent other ones, because it's going to be multiples.
Hell yeah. Well, hey. Sorry, let me try that again because I was yawning. Hell yeah. Well, hey. Before we get started, if you want to support the show, you can by going to patreon.com/cultpodcast. It's the best way to support us making the show. It allows us to do all the things that we want to do. And yeah, the other thing we want to promote, get tickets to October 31st's Roast Battle. That's Halloween night, baby, where the fucking champion of champions, which I don't think she currently is, Paige Wesley. But they can't.
I'm pretty good, though.
Stop me. They can't stop me from saying it. I dare them to sue me. I'll take you on, Brian Moses, you fucking asshole. You owe me $600, you piece of shit.
Wait, what?
Champion of champions, Paige Wesley.
Brian owes you $600?
Yeah, but it's good. It's not a bad thing.
Okay.
He just hasn't paid me for my work yet. But
Oh,
also,
the graphics. Okay.
But also, I haven't done the work yet. So
Okay.
Some could say it's a transaction that hasn't happened yet.
It's an incomplete transaction.
But I would say champion of champions.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
This is going to be a fucking stellar battle, and you are not going to want to miss it. It is Halloween night at the Roast Battle show at the Comedy Store. I don't know why I said it weird like that, but that's what it is, baby.
Mm-hmm. And I think with that, go buy your tickets, but also you should enjoy the show.
Hello.
That was one of our worst ones yet. That was a really
Yeah,
bad one.
it
We've been
doesn't
good
get
for a
worse
long
than that.
time. That was bad.
Get into the show, baby. Champion of champions. Cult Podcast features adult themes and graphic descriptions of violence. Listener discretion is advised. Now please, enjoy the show.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
For the purposes of this podcast, we define a cult as organizations that rally behind an entity or leader who espouse beliefs outside the norm.
Organizations that require physical or monetary sacrifice as a condition of membership.
Organizations in which the doctrines followed by the leaders are different than that of the followers.
Organizations in which isolation is encouraged either by commune living or by a policy of disconnection from outside relationships.
And organizations that actively recruit new members. All cults might have some or all of these traits, and as always,
These are our opinions.
Thank you for tuning into Cult Podcast. I'm Paige Wesley.
And I'm the ever tired Armando Torres.
And with us we have...
Bags under both of our eyes.
So tired. Very tired.
I'm back, Paige. I'm back in Los Angeles.
You're back in Los Angeles on this week's episode of Armando Does Not Understand Time Zones. Yes.
Oh, yeah, baby. Yep. I have been gone for 2 weeks. I recorded the last episode in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And then I was in Austin, Texas, and told Paige, hey, let's plan for Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. And forgot that you know what? Los Angeles is a whole other
2 p.m. to
time.
me is different than 2 p.m. to you.
Yeah. It's God, it's so crazy that it's just the world exists in different times.
I mean, I voted on us not doing daylight savings time again, so maybe someday we could be more confusing.
Here's what I think. I think we just use one time and we base all of it on Los Angeles, California. So whatever the world looks like at your time,
there is Greenwich Mean Time, which is technically the time.
Yeah.
But
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how, okay, let's say it's 10 a.m. in Los Angeles, California, a perfect place to live and a perfect time zone.
Disagree,
so that means
but sure.
even though it is 9 hours ahead in Paris, France, it's still 10 a.m. now. So instead of being 7 p.m., it's 10 a.m. now, and you just deal with it. And it'll make everything so much easier, Paige. You never have to do math. You never have to think about it. And then also a lot more people are going to try to move to Los Angeles so that their brains stop hurting. And it will make everything worse. And it will create a dystopian future of which we have to fight our way out of.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a hard sell. But do you know who it's going to be the hardest sell for? New York.
Ooh,
those assholes
yeah.
going to fight it the whole way.
Well, fuck them. All right, I'm Los Angeles, but more packed and crowded and faster, and it snows here. Yeah, go fuck yourself.
My
bud.
pizza's foldable.
Taxi, please. Go fuck
we
yourself.
only put
New York.
normal toppings on pizza. None of this fig compote balsamic reduction bullshit.
I live in Greenwich Village Meantime. Fuck you, New York, you stupid idiot.
I mean, Greenwich Mean Time is not in New York, but that's okay.
It's all the same shit. Anyway, I'm here. I'm back. I'm excited to be in my own house for the first time in 2 weeks, but I'm even more excited to hear what you have brought to the table.
Yes, because
Paige.
this has been a secret from you for this whole time, which often it is, but usually I give you some sort of idea of what it's going to be. Especially if it's going to be a big multi-part like this one is, I usually tell you ahead of time.
Rad. Okay.
Yeah. So before we jump into sources, I'm going to give us kind of a rundown of why we have ended up where we're at today, why we're covering this, and how we're going to cover it, because it's going to take some explaining. Okay, so I had a few options of what to do next after your last episode a couple weeks back. And I had been working on a couple different one-off cults, a few different things people have sent to us. I did find, and maybe I'll do it next year at the same time, but I found a really small church that didn't have enough information on it in Columbus, Ohio. And I was like, that'd be kind of hilarious to drop on the holiday that used to be Columbus Day.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. If you're listening to this on Monday, you're listening in the United States, you're listening to it on a national holiday that is known by some people as Columbus Day. I prefer Indigenous Peoples Day. A lot of people do. What's up?
Hey!
Even though I am Italian American, Columbus was a genocidal monster. And to quote our most politically correct Italian celebrity, Mario, it's not a good look. So we avoid him.
And it's interesting here that you're not quoting Luigi, which is, how dare you take away from our culture? Columbus was a kind of a national hero to us.
Quit being an asshole, Luigi. So I also, my family is, like the Italian part of my family is from Genoa. So it's like extra. Like we're extra probably at some point related to that horrible dude. So like, yeah, we don't talk about it. He was a bad guy.
Yeah. I don't even get Genoa on my fucking sandwiches. I get it on the side. I say, when I think of Italians, I think of Genoa side, you know? I get it.
Oh,
Is this
no.
good? Is this anything?
Oh, no. Because
Is
in my
this
brain, I
anything?
was like, well, you should put Genoa salami on your sandwiches. It's delicious. And then you said Genoa side, and I was like, oh, it's in the name.
It's been there the whole time.
We committed the act of the movie. Like, yeah, it's bad. So if you've been listening to me on Horror Virgin and Romancing the Pod, you might have had a clue that this was going to happen, because those shows are recorded at least a week to 2 weeks ahead of time, in advance of their release, because they take a lot longer to edit. So you might have heard me talk about listening to the Behind the Bastards series almost a month ago at this point, on Columbus, and we will be listing them among our sources. And I highly recommend listening to those, because they do a great job of talking through why Columbus wasn't just a product of his time, how he was a terrifying maniac, even compared to the racist assholes he lived with, which very interesting to find out. But
Paige, is our cult today Italians?
there will be some Italians.
Okay.
We'll get to it. So one of the things that they highlighted in those episodes that like rang my cult alarm bells is that Christopher Columbus was essentially a crusade originalist. He was super into the idea of, air quotes, reclaiming the Holy Land. And that's how he gets Ferdinand and Isabella to fund his expedition, is by selling them on the idea that the conquest in the East would help them fund a crusade to retake Jerusalem. That's where we're gonna live in these few episodes, because this series is gonna be on the Inquisition / the Inquisitions, because there are multiple. Yeah.
God damn. Wow.
That was a long
Holy
walk to
shit.
get there, but we're doing the Inquisition because
No, it's good.
We will start with the Crusades, which is where we're going to be today, is the first and part of the Second Crusade. And then we will end with essentially the Spanish Inquisition and where Columbus kind of fits into a lot of that. So if you want to hear about Columbus's atrocities, I highly recommend the Behind the Bastards episodes. They're great at that. We're only barely going to talk about him in particular. We're more going to talk about the ecosystem that ends up creating him, if that makes sense. We're going to talk more about the Crusades and the Inquisitions, plural. Now, here's something interesting as well. Before I even dive into sources, in looking for sources, there are a number of very, very, very conservative Catholic sources that are like, I mean, did the Inquisition even happen? And the answer is yes, it did.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes, it did. In fact, multiple Inquisitions happened, and not all of them in Spain. The Spanish Inquisition is the one that is famous in pop culture. Thank you, Monty Python and any number of other people. There are multiple crusades. So we have to kind of start, there are multiple crusades and multiple Inquisitions. We have to start with how the Inquisitions come about and how that influences essentially the generation of the Spanish Inquisition in particular. Because essentially what we have is a religious group manipulating an entire ecosystem of people and creating basically a lose-lose proposition for everyone who doesn't believe exactly as they believe. So that's how we're going to dive into it. So are you ready?
Yeah, it sounds like you wanted to do a thing about Christopher Columbus and then misunderstood how long that trip was and accidentally landed on the Crusades. Is that
You know,
about what happened?
a little bit. Here's what's kind of funny about Christopher Columbus that they talk about in that Behind the Bastards episode is they're like, by all accounts, he shouldn't have gotten to anything. He navigated blind and somehow got there. And they're like, we have to give him credit for that, I guess. But everything else, blood on his hands.
I remember when I was I think a freshman in high school, and I got this book that was called, like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like Things They Don't Teach You in History Class or something. And it's like, you know, so much of history is written by the victor and paints people in a certain way. We've covered this multiple times, like when we did the Black Panthers, and we were like, you know, in most textbooks, they're just like, they were this kind of weird group of violent dudes. And it's like, well, no, not fully.
The CIA was framing them and killing them. Sure.
Yeah. And so, like, you know, growing up, you have this picture of Columbus, like literally a picture of Columbus where he looks like a fucking idiot with his weird hair. And
Yeah, it's a
his
very
dumb
weird haircut.
face. But, like, I remember reading about the stuff that happened with Christopher Columbus, including the fact that he died of syphilis because he was a dirty, dirty boy.
He was a horrible, abusive, manipulative man who did not view some people as people. So, yes.
Dirty, dirty boy.
Sure.
More or less the same. But I remember that I was taking notes in a notebook, and, like, that I just kept about, like, the stuff that Christopher Columbus did and the stuff that I learned from this book just because I thought it was interesting. And then I lost that notebook in my English class, and then I found it like a week later, and somebody else, presumably another student at my high school, had found the notebook and started reading my notes about Christopher Columbus and started, like, crossing things out and writing like, haha, no way, this is wrong, and just started like writing like very what the history books want you to think. And I remember getting my notebook back and reading it and being like, why did you do that? First of all, who is Christopher Columbus to you, my guy?
Right.
And secondly, like, why do you care? I don't know. It might not even be relevant, and it might have been a stupid point, but I just remember that even back then, they were trying to keep us silent on Christopher Columbus and the goddamn Inquisition. So this is payback to whoever also had Miss Bauer's third period English class. That's right. I'm back, and I'm worse than ever, baby.
Oof, magoof. Well, we have a lot of sources because we have to cover a long period of time. So buckle up.
Yeah, let's start with source number 1, Armando's notebook from third period English class.
Armando's notebook from third period English class from Cambridge University Press, 2003. No, I'm kidding. So I'm going to go ahead and just list Behind the Bastards episodes on Columbus first. All three, but primarily the first one. That's going to talk the most about kind of the religious climate that Columbus grew up in and how that kind of influences him. Then we have The Culture of Inquisition in Medieval England by Katie L. Walker and Mary C. Flannery. We have the 1988 book Inquisition by Edward Peters. We have The Vatican is Investigating the Inquisition in Secret, which is a New York Times article from 1998 by Alessandra Stanley. We have The Eastern Schism from the Catholic Encyclopedia by Adrian Fortescue. We have A History of the Crusades, Volume 1, The First Crusade and the Foundation of the Kingdom of Jerusalem by Stephen Runciman. That's also Cambridge University Press. So that's, if you want to read it, it's, I think the best way to find it is JSTOR. That's kind of how I found it. From Empire of the Greeks to Byzantium by Anthony You know what? It's super Greek sounded. I'm going to say Kaladelis? Close? Maybe. We have Encyclopedia Britannica's article on the Spanish Inquisition. We have the Jewish Virtual Library's article, The Christian-Jewish Relations in the Inquisition. We also have the article from CEPR, Expecting the Spanish Inquisition, Economic Backwardness and Religious Persecution.
But no one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
I know. That's the rub. We have a Jewish history article on the Spanish Inquisition from Shabbat.org. We have the origins of the Inquisition in the 15th century in Spain by B. Netanyahu. And then we have Conversos, Inquisition and the Expulsion of the Jews from Spain by Norman Roth. And then we have an article from The Guardian. After 200 years, the Spanish Inquisition still exacts its toll by Torsten Bell. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right. I think that's the most sources we've had in a long time. It was a lot. So if we're going to talk about the Crusades, which is where we have to start if we're going to talk about the Inquisition, because one begets the other, we have to talk about ancient Rome, but only for a second, because this isn't hardcore history and we don't have all day. So the Roman Empire collapses into a series of region and city-states between the 4th and 6th century AD, largely the 5th century. And by collapse, I don't mean cease to be. Rather, I mean that they had overextended their resources and they'd been outmatched in battle to the point where the once sprawling empire struggled to hold on to its handful of colonies at the time. And one result of this gradual collapse was the formation of an alternate empire to the east, often known as the Byzantine Empire or the Eastern Roman Empire, or just Byzantium. This collection of city-states unified under a single religion and their own emperor forms what will become the Byzantine Orthodox Church and the Byzantine Empire. This is also sometimes referred to modern day as the Eastern Orthodox Church. It's not exactly the same, but it's kind of like one causes the other to be. They eventually settle on the city of Constantinople, aka modern Istanbul, Turkey, as their capital city.
And that's Istanbul, not Constantinople, right?
No, Istanbul was Constantinople. Now it's
But
Istanbul.
now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople.
No, been a long time gone. Constantinople. Why did Constantinople get the works?
Hey, that's nobody's business but the fucking Turks.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
Jesus Christ. They're assuming. I'm assuming there's like a lot of people that don't know they might be giants who are just like, what?
That's
What
not even
just happened?
originally that they might be giants. Like, that's the first place I heard it, but it's originally the Four Lads. It's like an old, like, doo-wop group song. Yeah, I know. Wild. So that's a wild oversimplification. And every time I read about Constantinople, it just makes me think of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where they're just like, Alexandretta, the kingdom of the crescent. Yeah. But we don't have all day to go over about 1,000 years of history that are going to get us to the place where we need to start. But we now have two essentially factions. We have the Byzantine Empire, and then we have what used to be Rome, aka OG Rome. Now, the empire is not really around anymore, but the Catholic Church super is. Because prior to Rome collapsing, Rome had become a predominantly Christian/Catholic state. Now, here's the weird thing about that, though. Admittedly, most of kind of the early germs of early church Christianity spring up among Jewish people at the time from people who had, both spiritual beliefs that kind of aligned with what Jesus was preaching, but also political beliefs that made Jesus's message more attractive. Regardless, it is originally kind of a Jewish Greek convert thing. As it grows, as they become a political force to be reckoned with and attract people from multiple different backgrounds, it becomes more of a political assignment than truly the original religion that it kind of started out as. It gets to a point where Roman emperors have to be Christian. Like, it's in their best interest to keep control of the empire.
Yeah, I can relate as an American, Paige.
Yeah, I know. I know. Lots of comparisons between us and Rome these days. But
we're fine.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
But they go from there is a time at which Rome is actively persecuting Christians, and then the tables turn. So at this point, what started out as kind of a Jewish adjacent religious movement is now a political Roman movement at this time. They have started to essentially assign popes, or nominate popes, I should say. They start to kind of stratify the control of the religion. This is where early Catholic Church comes from, and it becomes a hybrid of both political and religious figures that are, oddly enough, widely anti-Semitic at the time.
You don't say.
You don't say, and that's going to actually play into the Crusades a lot. We're going to talk about it a lot because it gets pretty dark. But all this to say, the Catholic Church at this time carries a lot of power even without the backing of Rome. They kind of become new Rome in a way, except that they're not directly controlling. Because even though Rome is gone and it's all these city-states, most of those city-states still Catholic, at a minimum in name only, to maintain the political power that the Catholic Church provides them. So that's kind of where we're sitting. We have one whole empire to the east that is not the same Catholic. They have their own emperor, they have their own pope, but they are Catholic adjacent. And then we have the OG Catholic Church working as an intermediary between, at this point, dozens of city-states. So it should come as no surprise that when the Byzantine Empire gets in trouble and the Turks, whose land that they kind of just like moved to, suddenly start knocking at their door to try and take back or conquer them the way that Rome conquered people for years, they request aid from Gondor, aka the Catholic Church. So
Wait, okay. All right, that's fine. I didn't realize how fucking Lord of the Rings the Catholic Church used to be.
Yeah, the Byzantine Empire calls for aid. Yes.
Gondor! And then this giant fucking eagle beast flew over.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, all those territories formerly under Rome, still Catholic, still talking to the Pope for the most part. So when the Pope says, come fight for us, they all answer the call. Now, what exactly are they fighting for? Well, the Byzantine Empire's holdings at one point included Jerusalem because Rome also included Jerusalem. At the time of Jesus' death, as recorded in the Bible, Rome has already conquered Judea and, by extension, Jerusalem, and rules over them. This is one of the areas that the Byzantine Empire believes that they have an entitlement to, because it is part of the former Roman Empire, and it's in the area in which they are ruling. So, the Byzantine Empire, the Byzantine Emperor Alexios I, Komnenos, uses this as a bargaining chip with the Papal States, which is what the name for all of the not united but kind of Catholic states is, the Papal States. It refers to states under the Pope, essentially. He asks them to marshal forces to defend and retake the holy city of Jerusalem from the Muslims so it can again be under Christian rule. Now, there's a bunch of things wrong with this. Obviously, under Rome, Judea and Jerusalem had become kind of a melting pot for a bunch of different people and a bunch of different nations that made use of their ports nearby. It was a great kind of trading stop. That's part of why Rome conquered it to begin with. Like, they needed their mercantile abilities. And it's not like the Turks just suddenly showed up to take the city. They'd been living in and around it for a long time. It's kind of their home. And the Byzantine Empire shows up and is like, I thought we owned you. Like, it's not great. More than anything, this is a bid for Emperor Alexios to expand his territory and strengthen his new and floundering empire. And he knows that he can use the Pope to do that if he makes it a war for Christianity and a war for, air quotes, defending the faith, which is why whenever you see movies about knights coming back from crusades, they introduce themselves as so-and-so defender of the faith. That's the whole reason they think they're gonna go to war.
It's pretty upsetting that this is also something that I could relate to as a modern day American.
Yeah.
At least with people who think that they are defending Christianity and fighting for it because of its alleged persecution by nothing. And I just want to say that I don't believe that any of the things that were happening in Rome were good, and we should not go back to the way that things were. That being said, support us using Patreon, because as a patron of the arts, you can pay us money and then we'll go out and make art for you, which is absolutely a new thing and not at all based off of anything that used to happen in Greek or Roman times. Thank you very much.
It definitely did. It definitely did used to happen in those times.
No!
Except most of the time they were just carving dicks onto stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's what we do in our private time page.
Yeah. I have a private collection of dick carvings.
What no one sees is that once an episode, one of the sound waves actually looks like a giant penis.
And we're like, nailed it.
And the
We
way you
got
make it
this one.
is you go, wow, I fucking made one. Yeah.
Did you?
I made a dick and balls, baby. All right, let's go.
What a useless talent. This truly is a dying medium.
That's what being a fucking audio engineer for several years will get you, is you know how to make
Make a dick with your
sound
waveforms.
waves. Oh my god,
Great.
I should have gone to college.
Oh god. Anyway, he thinks that if he calls for aid from Gondor, aka the Pope, that he will get enough people to retake those cities and expand his empire. That's absolutely right. So in 1096 AD, the Pope calls on all who are able to make a pilgrimage to Anatolia, which is the region that Jerusalem lies in at this time, that they should do so to then further defend the holy city. And everyone in Europe is like, yay! Yes! I've been waiting to do this. Like, they cannot wait. I don't know why.
Okay, never mind. I thought you were going to be like, and the reason why is because blankety blank blank blank.
I mean, here's two different groups go. And for one group, I get it because they're trying to keep the Pope happy because it's a political bargaining chip. The other group, not a clue. My only guess is that, like, this is the closest thing they have to TV or something, and they're just like, you mean I could meet the guys from Supernatural and take a picture with the car? Yay! Like, let's go!
All right, okay, I'm on board.
That or racism. Probably racism.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that it's probably the thing that has caused many European countries to do awful things for pretty much the history of mankind.
So it's wildly popular in Europe, and it's popular with everyone, like stratified from lowest serf to highest prince. Everyone is on board. Everyone is just like, damn straight, we should have Jerusalem. It's all right as Christians. Strange, but sure. They form two factions. The first one is a group called the People's Crusade, and this is led by a French priest named Peter the Hermit. Now, I don't know if I would trust someone known for not going outside to lead an army, but apparently they did.
What are you talking about? What about General Stonewall Get Off My Goddamn Lawn Jackson?
Yeah. General Introvert over here has got a great plan for how we're going to go outside and do stuff.
I also I couldn't pull a different general from my mindset, and why did I pick Stonewall Jackson?
I don't know.
Worst choice.
Stone walls of my house are the safest place to be, Jackson.
Oh my god, he's literally named after a fucking house. Are all generals just fucking inside boys?
They're the management of the army. Where they're like, I'm working from home and rubbing my temples over stressful things while you do the grunt work. Like, that's what it is.
Oh my god. Okay. I think we accidentally convinced ourselves that all generals are hermits, actually.
I mean, yeah, maybe. Probably not. I think that's changed. I think a lot, drones, though. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, so we've got Peter Quarantine.
Peter Quarantine. Here comes Peter Quarantine. So he was a French priest, and he groups up. He, like, circle up around me. Come on. A sizable group of commoners from different regions of France and a few different regions of Germany specifically. They have no military training. They don't know exactly where they're going. They have no understanding of the socio-political factions involved. But what they do have is lots of racism.
Oh.
They set out immediately on foot, where they're like, the Pope said go, we say how high, and they go.
Okay.
Just go. And they travel from France through Germany towards Jerusalem, and they stop multiple times along the way to just murder large groups of Jewish people for no reason. And this is actually called the Rhineland Massacre, but they're literally just like finding groups of Jewish immigrants, people who have traveled from the area of Judea where they're headed, and just killing them in the streets. Men, women, children, doesn't fucking matter. Just murdering them. It is brutal. There are some counts that it's between 7,000 and 20,000 during this time.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yes, and this is at a time when there's like not a ton. I mean, like there's people, but not nearly as many people as there are today. You know, like it's a lot of people. And they specifically, in accounts of this, like bragged about the fact that it was men, women, and children. They did not care. It was whoever refused to convert to Christianity on the spot, you're dead.
How do you even feel like the good guy? Even fucking Anakin Skywalker realized that killing the children was a bad thing.
Yeah, well, and not only that, like this is always something that confuses me about like anyone who claims to be a Christian but hates the Jews. Because I'm like, Jesus was Jewish. The Jews are the chosen people, as the Bible says. Like, why? I don't understand. And people try to justify it with things like, oh, they killed Jesus. And I'm like, first of all, that was the Romans, but you seem to be fine with Italians. Secondly, they do the like Christian identity thing of like, we're the real Jews. It's like, you're really not. Like, there's a lot of evidence to prove that you're wrong. And I don't know how to like you have to know that. Like, right?
I don't know, Paige. It is a pretty sick way to like fight for a religion that says you should love everyone the same.
Right? Neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, for all are one under Christ Jesus. Like, do you just ignore that one? Like, I mean, we could get into canonization and how some things get left out and some others don't. But a lot of, hey, the Jews are our friends gets left in. So, like, it makes no sense. It's nonsense. So, widespread anti-Semitism. They murder a whole bunch of people. They get to Anatolia, and they are immediately wiped out by the Turkish army. Like, immediately. Because they have next to no weapons. They have, like, no training. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They've never fought in a war before. Not a real war, like some skirmishes between city-states. But this is a real army. It's a real war. And the Turkish army just slaps them down instantly. And doesn't just slap them down. They basically annihilate them. Like, they are just dead. All of them. Gone.
I know this isn't necessarily like a funny thing to say, and I'm going to preface it with that, but I do think there is a little bit of humor in that they probably made their way to the battlefield killing like innocent families and children and being like, we're the fucking best, dude. I just killed that 5-year-old and then just got smacked down by a real army.
Wrecked. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you
Wrecked.
thinking, my guy? What are you
Yes.
doing?
Yeah. And here's the thing. This is old times, so it takes a while for word to travel place to place. Back home, another group has already started preparing to go, and they're like 6 months to a year behind this first group. This group is different. This is actually referred to as the Prince's Crusade because it's comprised almost entirely of nobility and their standing armies. So the Pope puts the word out, and each nation wants to kind of garner some favor with the Pope, win the Pope over, and some of them are just ultra Catholic. And so they marshal the armies that they have, which they do have. They're not huge armies, but each nation state has a standing army because they're constantly fighting each other. So they have small trained armies, but collectively, with all of them together, that makes a pretty big army of people with, like, armor and weapons, stuff that you really typically bring to war. And so by the time they amass all of the city-states, which I did have a list of everyone who joined in, but it's a lot. It's a whole long one, and the only one you would have found funny was the country of Flanders. So,
because it's like The Simpsons.
yeah. They're like, do you want to go to war? Oakley dokley. Like, let's go.
I do also imagine that it is like actual Ned Flanders, where when he takes his shirt off, he's fucking ripped.
Dude, Ned Flanders can, like, get it, though?
Oh,
Yeah.
my God. Yeah. Shit. Now I'm just thinking about Ned Flanders.
It feels like I'm wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Stupid Flanders and his sexy body.
Stupid, sexy Flanders. So by the time they get all the armies together, they've got about 100,000 people about to march on Anatolia. And it takes them until the following year, so 1097, they reach Anatolia. They fight for a little over a year and push the Turks back. They actually win a bunch of battles because this is real army versus real army. Except the other army just got done going to war and slaughtering a fake army. So they're kind of, tired. Anyway, after they win, they establish 4 Crusader nation states in the area. First, the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the County of Edessa, the Principality of Antioch, and the County of Tripoli. And these are supposed to be 4 nation states that will kind of hold the region. And they leave a few soldiers behind, and then they head home, which is when another group decides to head east after them. This is actually known as the Crusade of 1101. So this is like 3-4 years later, not even, like 2-3 years later. But it's also known as the Crusade of the Faint-Hearted because it's comprised almost entirely of people who turned back from the First Crusade.
That fucking rocks.
And they basically show up 2 years after the battles are won and are just like, we still own this shit? Yeah, I fucking thought so, motherfuckers. Like, yeah, I'm a crusader. What? And they fight no battles, but they just like get there and are like, looks good, and then turn around and go home.
Oh, just slapping each other on the backs like, I'm glad we did this, man. This was
Yeah.
fun.
It has all the same energy as W standing in front of that banner that says mission accomplished. It's a good one.
Oh my God. This is like I've had situations where like I'm terrified of bugs. And so like I'll see a big cockroach and I'm a big man. I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to bugs. So I'll run and go get anyone who's near me to take care of the bug. But then after they do, I'll come in with the shoe and be like, yeah, that's right. That's right, bug. Yeah, this is our home. Hell yeah. And then I walk away and spend the entire rest of the night in fear, hoping that I never see a bug again.
I mean, that's basically what they do. It's the guy that's like starts a bar fight, but then is like, hold me back. And he's just like has no intention of actually fighting anyone.
Yeah, it'd be like starting a bar fight and then leaving the bar to go to a Chili's, eating a fucking full meal, and then coming back to the bar fight being like, we did this shit, homie.
And if you fuck with me again, yeah.
I'm going to go to TGI Fridays.
Oh, it just, the fact that they call them the Crusade of the Faint-Hearted.
That
so
fucking
funny
rocks.
to me.
That fucking rocks.
It's so good.
I love when sometimes, it doesn't happen often, it will eventually happen to everybody on a long enough timeline, Columbus, but like eventually history will slap you down for being kind of a bitch ass fool.
You heard it here, folks. Crusade of 1101, bitch ass fools.
I have an official red stamp that I'm putting on it.
So they go home, pretend to be war heroes, you name it. But to say that things were peaceful after the Crusades would be a full-on lie, because they conquered a handful of cities and they were like, we fucking nailed it, we own this shit, celebrate, and then left. And those cities are still surrounded by Muslim cities, just in general. Like that's just the area in which they reside. And so they fight constantly. They would install emperors or bishops or priests. Those people would get kidnapped or killed. They would constantly fight until 1144. So about 45, give or take, years from the initial conquering, when the county of Edessa falls to the Turks again. This prompts what is widely known as the Second Crusade. So, by that time, there's a new pope, Pope Eugene III.
Okay, wow. Did that 3 times, huh?
Yep, the 3 times. And I don't know what he looked like, so I'm just picturing that one try guy who looks angry in that video with a pope hat.
I like that. I'm picturing Gene from Bob's Burgers.
Oh, yes. So, this is the first of the Crusades to be led by kings, specifically, the way that we would think of war happening later on. So, the big players here are Louis VII of France and Conrad III of Germany, with a handful of other city-states. But those 2 kings kind of go to the Pope and they're like, we'll retake Jerusalem for you. We'll take this war for you in exchange for your patronage. Basically, like that we're in good with the Pope. We'll go handle this with our armies.
And Pope Gene is just like, okay, sounds good to me. Bark, bark.
Exactly.
Because he's Gene from Bob's Burgers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, the problem with this, though, is that the kings couldn't work together. And in some ways, refused to work together. Because each one of them was like, no, I shall go conquer for you. I will take back the holy city. No, I will take back the holy city. We'll take back the... So they set out separately.
I imagine them like standing outside of the Vatican yelling this, and from inside you just hear, okay.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, for real? Okay. I just picture both kings just outside with a boombox, like, in your eyes, the light, the heat, your eyes. But they can't work together.
The Pope's just getting his archbishops, like, look at these fucking simps, dude. They'll fucking do anything for me, dude.
I told them both that I would put out for them if they won me the holy city.
Dude, they're so fucking dumb. I'm not gonna fuck any of them, dude.
So they set out separately. And of course, neither one of their armies is big enough to defeat the army that's already there.
No. Maybe if they had worked together.
Yeah. No. Both armies separately get defeated. Just like, and not decimated like the very first group of people that went with like no military training, but they get defeated. They have to retreat. So as they get defeated and they're retreating back, the armies are kind of scattered. And so soldiers return towards their home countries on foot. And it's almost like an equally long pilgrimage home, and not necessarily as a cohesive army. So thousands of people are making their way back to France and Germany on foot or on horse following the battles. And one of those groups was a collection of soldiers from southern France. On their way back to France, they encounter a group of soldiers from the Empire of Bulgaria. This group went by the name the Bogomils, and they practiced what we would classify today as a version of Gnostic Christianity. But this has a lot of differing beliefs than that of the Catholic Church. And some of them are kind of Protestant adjacent, or what will become Protestantism, I'll say. Other parts of it are wild. And we will cover that next week, because what would happen is these soldiers will return home to their families in southern France, and they would spread this belief system, and it would catch on like wildfire, in part because one of the core tenets of the belief system is living a more austere life. And they're in a situation where they're watching the church enrich itself through battle and through working with these different city-states. So the religion catches on, but it also catches the attention of the Pope, which would prompt him to formally decree our first recorded Inquisition. And that's where we'll pick up next week.
Oh my God. Jesus. I forget how war hungry the church was for a really long time.
Especially next week, we will get into it, because this group of French soldiers will become known as the Cathars, and they will have Catharism will be their belief system. And this is really the basis for what the Spanish Inquisition kind of models it after. But they literally, Christian on Christian violence is the first Inquisition, and the church just aggressively kills people. It is wild how vicious they get in the next episode. And what we'll cover in the next episode is kind of the Cathars, who they are, and their belief system, because it is out there. It is wild for the time, but it's even wild for today.
Yeah.
But the level of violence they receive in exchange for it is dark. It's wild. But that's where we'll pick up next week.
That's fucking insane. Yeah, that's what I was saying, is like the straight up violence to me is like, I forget sometimes that happened, you know, instead of like modern times where the Catholic Church and the church at large just kills people through legislation.
Right.
In America. Right. God.
Or if you believe that one movie trailer that's out about the exorcism training school thing where they just keep people in the basement of the Vatican. Fully demoned out.
I just saw that while I went to go see Smile the other day.
Oh, how was Smile?
It was a movie.
Okay.
It's interesting. I didn't hate it. I'll say that. I have a lot of issues with it. I think it was very ambitious for what it was trying to do, but I also think that I have seen the thing I didn't like about Smile is that everyone that I heard that worked on it, and everyone when they were trying to pitch it, was like, this is a new master of horror, and it's a horror movie like you've never seen before. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, sick. So it's like It Follows. And they would, and then they would be like, no, it's different. It's different because some of the things that made It Follows cool and fun to watch are not in the movie. And you're like, oh, tight. Okay.
Sick.
Yeah, it's super dope. So like, I have issues with it, but that's not to say I didn't have a fun time watching it, because I did. I enjoyed watching the movie. I just think that it was overhyped for what it eventually was. I saw
it was no Barbarian.
No, that's it. I saw a review in this fucking. Somebody brought me a newspaper and was like, did you see the reviews for Barbarian? And I was like, are you reading an honest to goodness newspaper? And they were like, yeah, I got it from a restaurant that I went to. And you know what? I can say this to you and to some of the people who listen to the show. It was Chris Damaris, who is just a fucking human anomaly that just exists in the world and does. I'm not saying print media is dead and gone, even though it kind of is. It just was weird. I had never. He got a free newspaper and was like, "Gonna read the reviews now." Anyway, the point is in that newspaper they said that Smile and Barbarian were both equally ambitious movies, but that Barbarian was the one that really did, I think, what it set out to do with a lot of its ambition.
Yeah.
And I had a blast. Anyway, Smile's an interesting movie. Before that, the advertisement for the movie that you're talking about, where they train people to be exorcists, and there's never been a woman exorcist before, that came on. But I was also at the Alamo Draft House, so I was trying to order fucking loaded why did I say it all weird? Loaded queso fries and a fucking
Ooh.
baked pretzel. You know, I had my hands full, so all I noticed was like, is that nun being sexy? Oh, fuck yeah. That is all that I got from it. And then I ordered my food, and then I looked back, and then she was like, "I'm going to suck the demon out of you." And so, yeah, sexy nun, suck demon out. That's all I got from that. Anyway, hey, look, if you want to find me on the internet, you can. It's at Mondo Does Stuff on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I'm back in Los Angeles this week. I'm doing a show on Saturday, Faded. It's in Santa Monica. It's going to be a great show. You're going to love it. Come on out. It's always really fun. I love Mike Malloy. I love Kenny, who's the TD for the show. You're going to want to come out. It's a good fucking show. Yeah, other than that, I'll be around. I'll be doing stuff. I was just in Texas to film something for Rooster Teeth, and we will promote it when it is coming out. But holy shit, is it one of the best things that I've ever made with this company. It is so much fun. I had a blast, and I cannot wait for y'all to see it. And I was telling Paige before that I did so much stupid shenanigans on set that I actually became an associate story producer, which means that which means
Don't
that,
you love when you fail up like that?
yeah. I was basically an idiot for so long that they went, "Hey, do you want to do this for money?" And so if you like my stupid shenanigans, imagine what I could do with a budget behind them, because oh boy is it fun. And by no means am I taking credit for how great the show was. There was an entire crew of people and a cast that was just fucking phenomenal. It was so much fun. So more info coming up on that soon, hopefully, because I think the show's supposed to drop like next fucking month, which is insane. But yeah, at Mondo Does Stuff, Mando Does Stuff, on all those fun things, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, all of that. I love you. Good night, good luck, and fight off the Inquisition. Mwah.
If you guys are listening to this the day it drops, I am battling Guam Felix at the Comedy Store tomorrow. And then I'm battling again Halloween night. It is essentially an international league show. So people are there from all over the world. The best battlers in the world are fighting. If you are in LA on the 31st, definitely try to get tickets to that. It's going to be an amazing show. And if you don't hear my voice enough, you could listen to me on Horror Virgin and Romancing the Pod. If you want info on show dates, follow me on social media at Rampage Wesley on Instagram, or at Paige Wesley on Twitter, or at Rampage Wesley on TikTok. I love you so much. Bye.
And I want to just step in here to say that while I was in Austin, Texas doing shows, by the way, thank you for the people that came out to the shows. It was really nice to meet you. Sorry. It was really nice to meet you. I always love meeting people, and I'm just going to say this once again, because I definitely am going to have to say it again. If you see me, you can just walk up to me, okay? I'm nobody. I'm just a guy trying to get a drink or a slice of pizza in downtown Austin, okay? You can walk up to me and talk to me. You don't have to DM me later and be like, "I saw you and I was terrified to see you," because boy howdy does it just make me look good if you're like, "Are you that guy from that thing?" And I get to look at my other friends and go, "I'm very successful." So
It does feel nice.
it does. But also, don't be afraid. You can always walk up to me if you see me. I'm very noticeable. But that wasn't the point. That was just an aside, because I'm sure that it happens to Paige very much also. You don't have to DM us afterwards, is my point. But while I was in Austin, Texas, I was talking with the other comics, and one of the other comics is the comic that Paige will be battling. And once they found out who I was, they realized they could talk about how hyped they were for the battle.
Oh,
Everyone
nice.
in Austin is excited for this battle. The legend of Paige Wesley has spread across the comedy community throughout the country. This is going to be the battle you want to watch. Halloween night, come on out. Comedy Store, baby. It's going to be amazing. Anyway, if you want to follow Cult Podcast, you can at Cult Podcast on Instagram.
Or at Cult Podcast Show on Twitter.
You can also send us an email to cultpodcastshow@gmail.com.
Or if you want to send us a hat that you would wear when ordering an Inquisition, you could send that to 3756 West Avenue 40, Suite K, number 237, like The Shining, Los Angeles, California, 90065. And I think for this one, I'm going to say, don't drink too much and then think that you can battle an entire army without any weapons or anything.
Classic mistake, Paige. I can't tell you how many nights, I take one shot too many and I'm like, I think I could take on Nevada.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
I think honestly, Paige, I hate to say it, but I think if I got a running start, I think I could fuck Nevada up. I think I could fuck up Nevada, dude.
And maybe Arizona too.
If I still have a little gas in the tank, I might go after Arizona too.
And don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Bye. Yeah. Coming for you, Nevada.
For years, we've had to deal with Hollywood's woke onslaught of destructive agendas in their films. That changes today. That's why we launched EpicVerse. At EpicVerse, we care about excellent storytelling and respect for our fans. Things Hollywood has forgotten. So follow EpicVerse wherever you can and tell your friends. We can't win without you. The comeback starts today. Will you join us?
Hey everybody, this is Armando Torres and you're listening to the show before the show.
And I'm Paige Wesley.
And with us we have a whole
Make
lot of eggs.
and milk with no sex times.
It's gonna take, look, here's the thing. It's gonna take a while for that to make sense.
And even then, it's not going to make sense.
And even then, you will be left with more questions than answers. However, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, this is probably my favorite cult podcast episode of all time. There are episodes where I spent months researching. There are episodes that we have where we outline entire things that other people haven't covered before, and we've gotten like acclaim for doing them. There are episodes that we've had big, exciting guests on. Fuck all of those episodes. Because this one is so buck fucking wild that I cannot imagine anything else ever topping this again. This is the last episode of Cult Podcast, guys. It's over.
No.
It's done.
No, we can't. We have to outlast Podcast.
No, we'll do this show until we're fucking dead in the grave. Perfect as ever. All right, baby, let's go. So here's the thing. It's awesome. I love this show and I love this episode so much. And if you feel the same way about either of those points, then you should go to patreon.com/cultpodcast to help support us and make the show. And hey, guess what? We're bringing back the speculation zone, baby. That's right. If you are a member of our Patreon, there is a new Speculation Zone episode dropping this, let's go ahead and say Friday. I can make it Friday.
Yeah, Friday's fine. If you're curious, it'll be about the Knights Templar. So,
Ooh.
yeah, there you go. That is the next one dropping on Friday.
Absolutely. You're going to want to go ahead and listen to that. It's going to be a great time. We're going to bring it back. Here's the thing. We're going to do it a little bit differently, where some of them are going to be about stuff. Some of them are going to be cult updates. And then some of them are going to be fun little things that we do. Maybe we'll have some guests on. It's going to be good. But it's time to bring... It's fucking time to bring it back.
Yes.
When the world needed it most.
When the world was like, do you need sex for make egg and milk? We came in with the Knights Templar.
Paige, you gotta fucking stop. I can't breathe. I'm fucking serious, dude. I can't. It's so fucking funny to me, and I don't know why.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. My brother and good God Christ. Let's get into this episode.
Hello. Huevos.
Egg.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
For the purposes of this podcast, we define a cult as organizations that rally behind an entity or leader who espouse beliefs outside the norm.
Organizations that require physical or monetary sacrifice as a condition of membership.
Organizations in which the doctrines followed by the leaders are different than that of the followers.
Organizations in which isolation is encouraged either by commune living or by a policy of disconnection from outside relationships.
And organizations that actively recruit new members. All cults might have some or all of these traits, and as always, these are our opinions. Thank you for tuning into Cult Podcast. I'm Paige Wesley.
And I'm Armando Tacos Torres.
And with us this week in the tent, we have guacamole sauce.
Fuck you. Okay. All right. Peek behind the curtain. Paige and I, before we record, because we always go, let's record at this time, and then we spend an hour talking.
Right. Always, every time.
Because we never get to see each other or have long conversations during the week. So we're like, how are you?
What has happened in your world?
And we've
How's the dumpster fire at your house?
Paige, I'm here to tell you, Sunday night, pretty bad. Yeah. So we're talking, we're sitting here, and Paige goes, have you seen the Mexican episode of Bake Off? And I go, no. People have sent me a couple clips, and then you're here to tell me that it's worse than I could have ever imagined. And then immediately I go, we got to start recording because you're going to say some wild shit that's true,
Yes.
and I'm going to freak out about it. Okay.
Yeah.
First off, you told me that they use the term taco and tortilla interchangeably.
That is correct, sir. I've almost finished making me tacos. No, that's the tortilla. They also didn't give them tortilla presses. They made them use pie plates.
Oh my God.
I was like, tortilla presses are not that expensive. They must have them. Like, that's the same as flatbread presses other places in the world. So, like, come on, guys.
Yeah, there's no, I already told the Senor Smoke story about, that's why people started sending me videos of them saying tacos, which,
Tacos.
I fucking hate it. I watch them eat it and not be able to understand it, and it's like, what is so hard to understand? It's everything you love in an the fucking plate is edible. It's fucking amazing. It's God's gift to humanity. And I can't watch these British fucking assholes fuck it up, man.
I mean, my favorite part about it is that I'm like, look, tacos are in the cultural zeitgeist.
Yes.
like how? Because people are like, I'm not really sure how to make a taco. And I'm like, what? You've watched a movie before, right? Like, tacos are there's so many tacos in the media. How do you not know what tacos are like?
You can fuck up and make a taco, Paige. You could fuck around and make a taco on accident. All right? It's meat,
Have
cheese,
done.
fucking what? Beans, rice, maybe. If you're, I mean, and no,
So all
it
they
shouldn't
had
even
them
go in a
do,
taco.
that first of all, they had them do refried beans, but they tried to make them refry the beans instead. Which in an hour. It was like they didn't give them pressure cookers, so I don't even want to know what that tasted like.
You colonizing motherfuckers. Beans is like half your goddamn menu. How do you not know how to do that?
I don't know. But then, so they had to make their own tortillas. Now, granted, to their credit, the tortillas actually did look pretty good for the people who like did it like successfully. And then it was steak, like marinated steak, but they had to choose the amount of spices to go on the steak. You know, they some of them were good at it, a lot of them weren't. And then they had to make basic guacamole to top it. Like that's it. That's like basically all they asked them to do for the most part. And they're just like, do I fold it? This is like the mania. It's so crazy. And they had to make conchas. Their first challenge was making conchas.
Oh my god. Okay, that's a producer that's fucking with them. Have you've watched like BoJack Horseman, right?
Yes.
That's like what's his name? Just standing there doing the reality show of chaos and madness, being like, yes, my precious is pronounced guacamole.
Guacamolo is what she's, but it was just a shade off of guacamolito sauce, like the Taco Town sketch from SNL, and I was like, oh man, that was done as a joke.
Oh my fucking god, Paige! Today, I went to brunch with some friends. It was fucking beautiful. It was a phenomenal meal, and we went to a place in Sawtell, a neighborhood of Los Angeles called Don Antonio's. Have you been to Don Antonio's?
I have not.
Okay. This was a theory that was put forward to me, and I actually kind of agree with it for the most part. Obviously, there's going to be some things that are wrong with it. You can always find an exception to the rule. But in Los Angeles, there's so much good food available that if a place lasts longer than 10 years, you know that they're not fucking around.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that 100%.
Yes, absolutely. Don Antonio's has been serving Mexican food in Los Angeles, California for 60 years.
Fuck. That could mean it's terrible, though, because sometimes really old places are terrible.
That is true, but this place is not the case. It tastes like food. The way it was described to me by somebody who grew up speaking Spanish was, it tastes like my mom's cooking. And I went, ooh, give it to me. I'm hungover. I fucking need it in my body. So I go there and I get to we're with a bunch of white people, and I get to show them the fucking juice.
The unmelanated, got it.
Yeah. Yeah, the slightly darker than the British, and I get to show them the juice, which is how you get the best Mexican food in Los Angeles, which is to just speak regular English, and then anytime there's a Spanish word, you just put the fucking sauce on it. So,
I thought you were gonna say show up in a Raiders t-shirt.
Okay, that's how you get a bad table but good service.
Exactly.
and a Dodgers hat that's any other color than blue. That's how they know.
Yeah, the black Dodgers hat.
Oh, they gotta take care of you.
You just described friend Los Digits, who head to toe black Dodgers gear at any given point.
That's such a good way to explain this person. Friend?
Oh my god. So I battled last week, right?
Uh-huh.
And I came off stage and he was like, hey, Paige, they named you Paige because you cast like 4 shadows. See, like a book, like foreshadow. And I lost my mind. I was laughing so hard. I was like, that made sense, kind of.
You took a lovely stroll to get there. It was a nice walk on the beach. There were rose petals there, and it was a walk to somewhere.
A book club where you then knew the word foreshadow and made a pun with it, and I'm impressed.
That's a good joke.
I told him, I was like, I fucking liked that, and he was like, I did that just for you, and then left. I was like, yes.
But that's how you get good service and the best food at any Mexican restaurant is you order in perfect English and then you just put a little stank on it. So like I was like, yeah, bro, can I get this this combination plate? Yeah, I'm gonna get the chorizo con huevos, fool. And hey, bro, add a little queso on that shit. Oh, damn, Dick. Imagine, Dick, you bring me chips and guacamole, fool. Ooh, and a picture of margaritas and shit. And then this dude was like loving me. His name was Miguel. I left him an amazing tip because he was the best. But my favorite part of the meal was like, first of all, food, immaculate. Some of the best I've ever had. Tastes just like my grandpa's cooking. I fucking loved it.
Ooh, I fucks with that.
It was exactly what I needed. It was exactly what I wanted. I basically had the scene in Ratatouille where I take a bite of the chorizo and then the camera pans into my eye and I'm a little child coming in and my grandpa serves me chorizo that's been sitting out on a pan that's covered on top of the stove because I've been watching Nickelodeon for several years and he's upset that I no speaky Spanish. Okay? That's like... It's a perfect situation. The food is immaculate. And then as we're walking out, the waiter is standing next to the exit and the 4 people that are there with me, he goes, "Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day." And then I get to the exit and he goes, "Bro," and then fucking daps me Oh, I fucking loved it. Anyway.
That's how you get like extra chili rellenos and shit.
Yeah, bro. Hey, you put a little stank on it, fool. Anyway,
Amazing.
I have had an interesting weekend, and I am very excited to finally get into part 2 of our series that you are bringing
Yes. If you thought last week was weird, you have no idea how weird it's about to get. I'm just going to jump into sources because we have too fucking many. This is like this is the source list that never dies.
Hit me with it.
So we have Behind the Bastards, their episodes on Columbus. We have The Culture of Inquisition in Medieval England by Katie L. Walter and Mary C. Flannery. We have Canon 8 of the First Ecumenical Council of Nicaea. What up, Bible nerds? We're getting into it today. We have Inquisition, written by Edward Peters. We have an article from the New York Times called "The Vatican is Investigating the Inquisition in Secret" by Alessandra Stanley. We have The Eastern Schism by Adrian Fortescue. We have A History of the Crusades, Volume 1, The First Crusade and the Foundation of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, from Cambridge University Press by Stephen Runciman. We have The Empire of the Greeks to Byzantium by Anthony Kaldilis. We have The Spanish Inquisition, Definition, History, and Facts from Encyclopedia Britannica. We have The Christian-Jewish Relations, the Inquisition, from the Jewish Virtual Library. We have Expecting the Spanish Inquisition, Economic Backwardness and Religious Persecution, from CEPR. We have The Spanish Inquisition, Jewish History, and I did get a bunch of messages about how to pronounce this. I'm going to try. I might still fail. Chabad.org. Let me know how wrong I got it. The Origin of the Inquisition in the 15th Century, Spain, by B. Netanyahu. We have Conversos, The Inquisition and the Expulsion of the Jews from Spain by Norman Roth. And we have an article from The Guardian called "After 200 Years, the Spanish Inquisition Still Exacts Its Toll" by Torsten Bell. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Great. So if you remember from last week, the soldiers from the Second Crusade returned with some shiny new belief systems. And before we dive into that entirely, I have to kind of address something. I got a couple messages from people saying that commoners went to the Crusades because they could steal the land they retook, but that's not entirely true. The nobles could. The nobles could take the land. However, that land was very far away and hard to manage, so a lot of them didn't. Some of them did, but some of them didn't. It's not as much of a factor for them to get the land that they conquer until this next crusade that we're going to kind of introduce in this episode, but mostly talk about in the next episode. That is where the promise of land grabbing really starts to motivate people, but that's an end of the episode conversation. For this episode, we have to kind of structure things a little differently. So this is going to cover what will be known as the medieval Inquisition. It actually includes multiple small inquisitions and a series of small crusades, all within Europe. This is exclusively Christian on Christian crime. I know, like, it's also white people on white people crime.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even have racism as an excuse at this point.
Well, normally Christian on Christian crime is just two mothers complaining about whose potato salad is better. So it's good to see some actual.
Mine has raisins. Mine has dill. Yeah.
Paige, you've made me mad again.
Neither of us have paprika.
Just wait till Miguel hears about this at Don Antonio's. He's going to be pissed.
Lo siento, Miguel.
I also, just for my clarification, medieval crusade. Are you,
Correct.
I mean, clearly all crusades are evil. So are you saying this one was just
Right.
mid?
I mean, no, it's pretty evil.
Okay.
Like, it's evil across the board, really. It just refers to the time frame in which it's occurring.
Okay.
Yeah, so the reason we're covering this is because the severity and intensity of these Inquisitions and Crusades will be the framework for later Crusades and later the Spanish Inquisition. But we have to understand how society at the time got to the point of killing and torturing people over very small, in some cases, doctrinal differences. Don't get me wrong. We're going to go over some pretty big doctrinal differences in this episode, but the one that ultimately makes the church mad is pretty small. And so we'll get to it. For this episode, we have to start with the soldiers from last week. What did they bring that the Catholic Church found to be so heinous? And then what did the church do about it? So the group of soldiers traveling back from the Second Crusade were largely from the region of Languedoc, along the Mediterranean in the south of France. There's also some evidence of some of the group being from northern Italy, which is kind of the same region, or at least general area. And that's where the soldiers returned to following defeat. We mentioned in the last episode that they encountered the Bogomils of Bulgaria on their way home. And by the time they got back to France, they had a belief system entirely their own. They became known as the Cathars, and their belief system became known as Catharism. Not to be confused with Catholicism. Catharism.
Okay. These are people that believe that catheters were the only way to get close to God, right?
Yeah, they're the ones that are behind those commercials that you watch during the day when you're trying to watch the Steve Wilkos show, and then they like come in every couple minutes and they're just like, do you need home catheter equipment? And I'm like, no, who is having to catheterize themselves at home? That sounds horrifying and terrible. I mean, somebody clearly, because there's a commercial for it.
I don't know how to explain this thought that just popped into my head, but it's because we're talking about medieval shit, and this is how dumb my brain is that when I think of medieval shit, I think of like Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Steve Wilkos would fit in real nice in the Game of Thrones world. I could just
you are the father of these little childs and the children and the
tell me you can't
great.
see Steve Wilkos throwing the Iron Throne just fucking clear across the room.
but still in just a black polo and black pants.
Oh yeah, he refuses to change.
He does not. He finds one thing that works and he goes with it.
And his clothes are so dark that you cannot see them in the show because that show is unwatchable with the brightness and contrast settings. Anyway, I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
No, for sure. So, to understand the church's reaction, we have to know what Catharism is and what they believe. So, we're going to spend a pretty big part of this episode talking about what Catharism is, what they believe and why. And then we'll get into what the church decides to do about it. And then next week, we will cover kind of the church enacting their plan. So, the Cathars, or Cathars as they became known, referred to themselves simply as good Christians, which was intended to promote humility, but honestly is petty as fuck.
Yeah, that's... Look,
We're the good Christians. I don't know if you know.
it's a bad move, but as a petty king, I respect it, dude. That's a solid move. That's like how we call ourselves the cult podcast that's still around.
You know, I've done a lot of research into cult podcasts that are still going on. I'm not an expert, but I did do a lot of research.
Oh, and don't get it twisted, folks. We are as good people as we can try to be, but we are petty as fuck.
Hey, you know what? You know what? When you pour your blood, sweat, and tears into releasing a podcast, and then 3 weeks later, some fucking assholes with a network behind them have a podcast with almost an identical name and keep buying followers and shit, Yeah, I'm gonna be a little petty.
Yeah, I mean, if you try to hire my friends to like maybe try to make the show more like ours, I'm gonna be a little petty.
A little petty. And then if maybe the giant conglomerate that bought your network decides to dump your show, then I'm gonna, send some screenshot texts back and forth with Armando as we just kind of pat ourselves on the back a bit.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so we're the Good Cult podcast.
Yeah. Now, sometimes, and you'll see this in history when you read about these people, they will occasionally be referred to as the Albigensians.
Ugh, fucking Gen Z, dude. Everything.
I know. With their fucking straight parts, baggy jeans. Like, we did this already.
Yeah, God. I hate when Zoomers try to crusade.
Yeah. So Albigensians, they're actually named after the city of Albi in the south of France, where a lot of these soldiers are from, and it's kind of the epicenter for this movement. So sometimes you'll see things referred to as the Albigensian Crusade. That's why. That's this one. So there are some records of belief systems with this name. The Cathari is what they are called in history, as far back as the 4th century, in which people along the trade routes described a society of people who, quote, absolutely rejected anyone who married a second time. That seems to be their big sticking point.
What? Okay.
And I mean divorce, not
remarrying
polygamy.
after like death or something.
Even after death, they're not okay with it.
Oh, okay. What do you?
It's very strange.
Okay.
It'll make a little bit of sense later.
Oh, it's because the guy who started it had divorced parents. 100%.
Yeah, probably. It stems from some of their beliefs around sex, which we will get to.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I do want to mention that the original name for it was the group of Christians who believe that Kevin is never gonna be my real dad, Mom.
Yeah, never. So we know that this has existed at least from the 4th century because they're actually mentioned in a very important document from the time. And there's a belief that potentially they were present at the Council of Nicaea in the year 325 AD. Now, if you don't know what the Council of Nicaea is, here's 2 seconds of way too small of an explainer for you. It was a council of multiple Christian leaders at the time held in the Bithynian city of Nicaea, which is modern day Turkey. And it was organized by the Roman Emperor Constantine I at the time. This is back when Rome is still a Christian nation. And this is essentially Rome trying to solidify political and religious power. The goal of the Nicene the Council of Nicaea council was to gain consensus over all Christendom. So to try and get as many different groups of Christians to agree on something at once. Good luck, by the way. This is also when a lot of the what we know as the Western translation of the Christian Bible is canonized.
Okay.
Is within a few years of this council. Now, at this council, they write something called the Nicene Creed, which many churches still use to this day. I mean, a lot. And essentially, it is just a listing of most of what Christians believe. So it's, we believe in one God, the Father, the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and all that is seen and unseen. We believe essentially in the Trinity. We believe that Pontius Pilate killed him. It basically just outlines their basic beliefs. I could read the entire thing. It will take a substantial amount of time, and this is a long outline. If you Google Nicene Creed, it comes up. So if you're super interested, and if you want to read the whole thing, if you weren't forced to memorize it as a child, be my guest. Go ahead and read up on it. So the things that it covers that are pretty important are, first and foremost, that Jesus is the Son of God, and that he is part of a Trinity between him, God the Father, and the Holy Spirit, that Mary gave birth to him through Immaculate Conception, that he died on the cross, rose again for our sins, and that he has spoken through prophets, and they believe in basically one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, and baptism can forgive sins as well as requesting forgiveness, and they are awaiting Jesus' return. That's basically kind of all covered in this document. Now, the reason I bring it up is because this is part of what the Catholic Church will hold the Cathars against about 10 years later, or 10 centuries later. Canon 8 of the First Ecumenical Council of Nicaea states, so this is the document they basically wrote at the time. If those called Cathari come over, let them first make profession that they are willing to communicate with the twice married and grant pardon to those who have lapsed. So this is basically all the other Christians being like, just, yeah, they can come as long as they stop being dicks to people who've married more than once. And the Cathars refused.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I'm failing to see why it's such a huge issue. I know that we haven't really like gotten into the nitty gritty.
We haven't, but yeah.
But that's it. I can't imagine why you have to make a decree that's basically like, hey, just be chill. Just like for once, dude, just be fucking chill. And then your homies like, because that's what it is. You're basically being like, look, man, I'm fine if you come to the party, but like, just don't go off on a whole rant about how everyone's like fucking and it's like bumming you out. And this person's like, actually, no. And I will not.
Actually, you've been married twice and our religion prevents you from having 2 Christmases.
Look, man, Cathar, I'm really just trying to be chill here, dude. I really want you to come over if you promise to be chill. Absolutely not.
You're not my real savior and you never will be.
It's just, okay, I'm sorry. We can get back into it. I just love the fact that they're like, no, I won't. No, actually, no. And I don't need your party. Go fuck yourself.
Right. And they do end up, the belief kind of flourishes in what is now like modern day Armenia and Bulgaria at the time, which does become part of the Byzantine Empire. So they're kind of removed from Rome. So at the end of the day, a lot of the Christians in the 4th century were just like, I don't know, they're weird. Just let them be over there and whatever. Just, they can't sit with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
On Wednesdays, we wear crosses. You can't sit with us.
God, stop trying to make one marriages catch on, dude. It's never going to catch on.
So let's get into some of the other things that the Cathars disagreed with, because the marriage thing was not the only one. It was just the one sticking point where the Christians at the time were like, they believe some weird shit, but if you can just get them to agree to the marriage thing and we can all just be peaceful about it, great. And they're just like, no. So the Nicene Creed describes a Trinitarian theology, which we kind of just talked about a little bit. And we've talked about it before on the show. It's one of those things that most Christians in most denominations, Protestant and Catholic, agree on. Not all of them. There are still people who are just like, it's for people. Like, there are outliers. Don't get me wrong.
Like for being some like cult leader or new.
Yeah,
okay.
or there are some people that are like, it's all only one person. And like, there's variation. But I like 80 to 90% of the time, if you walked into a church and were like, hey, yo, how you feel about the Trinity? They'd be like, yeah, we're on board. Great,
fucks
cool
with it, dude. Hell yeah, homie.
We fucks with it. So that's something that most Christians at the time, and even most Christians now, kind of in agreement.
Yeah.
However, for the Cathars, they believed in a dual deity version of God. And as to be expected, it is kind of racist. We'll get into it. So they believed that the God of the New Testament, which remember is based primarily on Greek writings from later dates, they believed that the God of that testament is the good God, the true God, and God in his most benevolent and loving form, while the God of the Old Testament was an evil God, specifically the God of the Jews.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's some fucking spicy anti-Semitism there, bud.
Yes. And often the secondary evil god is referred to either as the God of the Jews or the King of the Earth or Rex Mundi, which is Latin for king of the
Oh,
earth.
okay. All right,
Yeah.
cool. I thought it was like a hot new wrestler dude who was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
come
Like
in
the
and
god of the
fucking-
Jews, Rex Mundi. If you're nasty, no, it's Latin. So
I do like that the way that they describe God is the same way that my mom describes my grandfather. Of just like, look, when I was a kid, totally different dude, all right? But now he's got grandkids and he's like super chill and like a real nice guy.
yeah.
Yeah, but the part my mom never says is the fact where she's like, dude, when I was a kid, your grandfather was the god of the Jews.
He could slice pastrami so thin.
I want to go to Cantor's now.
I know, right? I tried to. I have a group text of roast battle friends, and I tried to get them to go to Cantor's a couple weeks back, and one of them was like, "We're not 80, and it's not 3 p.m. in the afternoon." I was like, "Okay,
Fuck,
calm
man,
down."
I straight up, I have eaten at Cantor's at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Absolutely have.
Damn. I might be 80. Shit.
Anyway, some versions of this myth also conflate the god of the Jews with Satan, basically arguing that, like, he's the fake one. Jews are not holy or worthy of being included in heaven's kingdom, and they're definitely not the chosen people, which is a lot of twisty-turniness of the Bible to get to that point. And also just a dick thing to believe.
Yeah.
Like, don't be douchebags, okay?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. Anyway, within the Bible as we know it today, there are definitely differences in how God is addressed and how he addresses us between the Old and New Testament. And I think some of that is due to time and different authors or any number of things. Because remember, these books are all written by different people at different points in history. So, like, you know, there's something to account for style. There's something to account for differing attitudes toward God at the time. There are a lot of reasons why that could happen. These people definitely believed it was because the Old Testament God was evil. Just pure evil.
I'm getting a lot of vibes of people that are like, okay, how do I explain this? So there are old Marvel movies before everything became canonized.
Yeah.
Where you're like, yo, what the fuck were they on, dude? And then with times, things sort of like become canonized, fit into this thing. People have different visions and they sort of like map it out. And I'm starting to see a lot of similarities between the Holy Bible and the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'm curious to, like, what Marvel movies brought this to mind for you? Like,
It's honestly, and I don't even know if this counts as
I'm
Marvel.
thinking of one. Hold on, but go ahead.
It's, well, here's the thing. You might, I don't know. You might be right. Basically, because of TikTok, I've been seeing a lot of clips of the old X-Men movies that have nothing to do with
That is what I
anything.
was thinking.
Okay, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Because that's what's happening. I'm seeing clips of old X-Men movies, and I'm like, this fucking slaps. But then
X2 still fucking slaps. X1 and X3 can go, suck a big fat dick.
So, like, yeah, there's some good, there's some bad, and then there's fucking Ryan Reynolds being a no-mouth Deadpool killing machine character in that weird Wolverine, or I don't even know
that
what
weird Wolverine origin story one.
Yeah.
But go back and watch X2. X2 fucking slaps.
Oh, I'll fucking watch the shit out of X2. Dude, I was watching clips from X-Men Apocalypse, a movie
that
is
movie's terrible.
not good,
No.
and I still want to watch it.
I mean, it is Oscar Isaac, though. I'll watch anything that Oscar Isaac's in, so.
Dude, Oscar Isaac's in that shit. I think we got James McAvoy in that motherfucker. I've been watching specifically the clip where Quicksilver just runs around and saves everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet dreams are made of
I can't believe
these.
Jeffrey Dahmer saved all the X-Men.
Look, I fucking hate superhero movies. So what I'm trying to say is, like, yes, the Bible differs because people have different tastes, different writers write different stuff. Even if you're going after the same franchise, you can understand why every different writer puts their own little stank on it.
Yeah. And yes, 100%. Now, it's about
Also,
to get... Oh,
real quick. I'm sorry.
Sure, okay.
Also, I need not necessarily you. This is an open call.
Okay.
Which book of the Bible is X2 and which book of the Bible is the bad
Oh
X-Men movie?
shit, dog. Luke is X2. Luke is X2. Well, okay, you got to go New Testament or Old Testament. New Testament. Fuck. I think Luke is still X2 New Testament wise. It's the best kind of concise story. Or you could go Revelation, because that's where it just gets fucking hog wild.
See, I want to say that X-Men Apocalypse is Revelations because Apocalypse Revelations, but like,
yeah,
Revelations kind of slaps though.
There's also some of the letters are pretty interesting, but New Testament, the shitty X-Men sequels are definitely Matthew, because there's like 5 chapters of Matthew that's just, and so had the son of so-and-so beget so-and-so. And you're just like, let's hurry it up, my dude. The Old Testament, there's like huge sections of the Old Testament that are X2. The Old Testament kind of slaps.
I'm just waiting until they give Jon Favreau a chance at Matthew. All right. That's all I want to see, baby.
Give Taika Waititi Song of Solomon.
I can't wait for Genesis Ragnarok.
Oh, Genesis I mean, like, real talk. They're gonna give the Russo brothers all the battle ones, so like, it's fine.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is over. We can end this now.
I can't wait until we get to see Chris Evans play King David. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh, I don't know why this makes sense in my head, but Kurt Russell is King Solomon.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, right? It just kind of
But they do the like holograph thing to make him. So here's the thing about Solomon. We meet him as a young man, and then we also talk to him as he has grown older over time. And so that's kind of a good one, but David also would be a good fit there too, and it's the same fan. Anyway, yeah, this could be really interesting. I think we got something here.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin Feige, we have a challenge for you. What? Okay, forget the MCU. It's time for the BCU, the Bible Cinematic Universe.
The BCU works on so many levels. BC time, like it's fucking, it all rocks.
Oh yeah.
Fucking,
BC,
I can't.
yeah.
And it's the worst part is the headline Disney buys the Bible is not that out there, dude.
Disney Bible merger.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, this is a great tangent. I'm in favor of this 100%. We're going to have like a long episode like old times. So they believed, and this is where it's going to take a little bit of a left turn from what you've probably expected from them up until this point. The interesting thing about their beliefs is that they believe that both of those gods, the old god and the new god, were equal in power, and that each of them prevented the other from destroying or healing the world, thus acting as a system of checks and balances to bring balance to the earth. It's real Buddhist.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah.
Now, here's part of where I think that comes in. As I mentioned, this belief system is Eastern at this point, and it travels west along those trade routes. I think there is some Buddhist influence here. There has to be, because they also believe that they believe in a version of reincarnation, which we'll cover in just a second. They believe that everything we see and perceive in this world was created by evil God. By extension, they believe that humans used to be angels that are sent to live in evil God's place as punishment, basically the Matrix.
Whoa, yeah, damn.
Yes, and they have to reincarnate through a certain amount of cycles to regain their angelic status. And in order to do that, they have to renounce their material self permanently, or else you are stuck in a cycle of reincarnation. It is basically Buddhism plus Christianity plus the Matrix.
Paige, I hate it. because it's, you know what it is.
A great movie.
Yeah, but you know what this belief system is sounding a lot like, don't you?
No.
It's fucking, they fucked themselves into theosophy, Paige.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true for sure.
They just did a bad, they fucking Blavatsky themselves.
Yeah, but this is hundreds of years before Blavatsky is
Oh,
born.
100%. It's just like, yes, I'm sorry. That's it. It's just that, like.
Yes, it's theosophy pre-theosophy.
Oh my God.
I would argue that this is probably, because this is Gnostic Christianity essentially, and this is probably some of what she steals theosophy from.
Absolutely. That's where
Yeah.
that's where theosophy comes from. That's,
Now, the thing
damn
that
it.
this doesn't have is they don't have ascended masters or saints or anything. It's just the reincarnation cycles. It's just the Matrix.
that is the thing, is that the point of theosophy is that eventually you become an ascended master, so
Right.
that through these cycles, because that's what you're working towards, you know,
Right.
is eventually you do become, you give up all your material, everything, and then you become one, and then you ascend. And some beliefs in theosophy is that you become an ascended master and keep your individualism as an ascended master, but like the way that it's supposed to be is closer to Buddhism, where like you give up the need to be the individual and join nirvana, where you
Right.
become one with everything and nothing at the same time.
And that's more of what this is.
Yeah.
It's more the Buddhist version. Now, they believe that Jesus' teachings were valid, but they don't believe that Jesus ever existed on Earth in a, like, tangible form.
Wow. Okay.
This is difficult to put into words. Here's my best attempt. They believe that Jesus was an angel appearing as a human, but basically as like a heavenly hologram.
Okay, so Jesus was performing at Coachella next to Tupac.
Right, next to Tupac. And they're like, he's got a lot of great things to say, that hologram, but he was not he was just a man, but just a hologram of a man. Yeah.
That rocks. I loved when Jesus was like, "What the fuck is up, Coachella?"
Yes. They also, okay, so by extension, because Jesus never truly existed on earth, according to them, he was never raised from the dead, and John the Baptist is evil.
Oh, what? Okay.
That's their belief. They view any mention of resurrection in the Bible as a reference to reincarnation and therefore evil. So, like, if Jesus had to be raised from the dead, that means he's not completed his reincarnation. So who is he to tell us what to do?
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Yep.
I see their logic, but it's dumb as fuck.
Oh, it gets dumber. They rejected the idea of communion because they don't like metaphors, and I'm not joking. That's why. They're like, it doesn't turn into, like, they don't believe in transubstantiation, so they're like, it's not actually blood and bread, and everyone's like, it's a metaphor, and they're like, that's stupid. So they don't do communion.
Yeah, I believe Jesus was a metaphor for a man, but if you bring metaphors into my life, I fucking hate you, dude.
But here's what's really interesting. They had their own version of communion that they only did once in life ever. It's called the consolamentum, or the consolation, and it's a short ceremony to remove all sin from a person and lead them into the next level as perfect. And this was only typically done at death, because once you received this blessing, like this ceremony, you were supposed to be completely perfect and sin-free after. So people would try to do it as they were dying. But here's the problem. Sometimes people recover. So people would actively try to make sure they didn't recover.
Oh my fucking God, this is so stupid.
Some people who received the consolamentum on their deathbeds would then stop eating and drinking, and if that didn't do it, they would expose themselves to the elements, specifically extreme cold. People would like wander out into the snow and stuff in order to hurry it up so they didn't have time to sin before they died. And they actually, it happened so often that they had a name for it. They called it the Endura, which actually does sound pretty badass.
Yeah, that's... I think the thing that's so funny to me is that they don't trust themselves to just not sin.
No, not at all. And that the endura refers to that portion of life that they have to endure while perfect.
Oh my God.
So
I'm sorry. This is so fucking stupid. This is so
It's
fucking
crazy.
dumb.
There are rare accounts, and I do mean rare, of a person starting to recover and then their family smothering them to death to make sure that they did not recover and therefore did not miss being perfect. Because yes, murder is a sin, but they have their whole lives to atone for that sin. This person only has a couple minutes.
That's you could monk it, dude. You could just straight up like if you recover, you're like, all right, well, I'm perfect, so now the rest of my life I live solely to just be sinless. But they're in their mind just like they become perfect, and then as soon as they're like, well, maybe you pull through, your brain's going, nah, actually, I'm a real bad guy. I'm actually a real bad motherfucker. You gotta take me out because at the first opportunity, I will sin again.
Yep.
That's
Cut me, Mick. Yeah, like this.
That's so fucking stupid. It's
Wild.
It's like wearing, I don't know. I want to use a metaphor, but I know that it's gonna piss them off.
They hate it.
It's like wearing a fucking, I guess it's a simile technically, because it's like wearing an all white outfit to a party and being like, well, guess I'll do nothing then
because I don't want to ruin my outfit.
Guess I'll just leave then.
Yep. But we haven't even talked about sex yet.
Oh my God. Okay. All right, let's get into it. These guys, it's so dumb, Paige. This is so stupid. Thank you so much already preemptively.
You're welcome. One version of their belief system stipulated that the good God of the New Testament actually had 2 spiritual wives and got one of them by stealing it from Satan, which caused the war between both of them.
Are you telling me God is Mr. Steal Your Girl?
Hold on, I'm gonna burp, but then yes, I would tell you that. It's gone. Wait, it's gone. Yes, God is Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Oh my God. Okay.
But in some versions, Satan is Mr. Steal Your Girl, and the opposite happens.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fucking cheese man, fool.
Yeah. Now, some of the Cathars, not all, believed that Eve's children, daughters specifically, had sex with giants to produce the Nephilim, which are a human giant hybrid. And admittedly, that story on this show is not that weird, which is an unfortunate thing to say.
No, but I do want to, I just want to take a second to say it's not weird to fuck a giant, actually. And
Armando Torres for mayor.
I think more people should do it, actually, if I'm being honest with you.
That's not that weird, given that we have told the story of the Nephilim on the show a lot. But what is weird is how the Cathars, modern day at the time, but how they felt about sex in general. To some of the more extreme groups, reproduction was considered evil and to be avoided at all costs. And from what I understand, hand and mouth stuff still in. Just nothing that would produce children.
What? Wait.
They hated sex because it had the potential to continue the chain of reincarnation and therefore suffering in the world. And again, this is only some, not all. But essentially, it's like you don't want to bring a child into the world because then they have to go through the reincarnation cycle.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Which is a bad way to keep your religious movement going, by the way.
Well, I mean, the point of your religious movement is like, stop having children.
Yeah. And again, this is not all. This is just some. But the rumor persisted. So initially, some of these families stayed safe during the Inquisition purely by admitting to fucking. They're just like, we've got kids, so clearly it's not us.
Yeah.
Uh,
So the fucking crusade comes along and a dude just stands on his house and goes, no, dude, I fuck. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm fucking all the time, dude.
I banged her. I banged her. I banged me with this hand. I banged her.
And look, I'm not talking about no hand and mouth stuff, okay? I'm putting P in V, dude.
P in V, and sometimes in B. You know what I'm saying? Up top. So the Cathars were pescatarian, and you might be asking yourself, what does this have to do with sex? Too much. So
no.
they do live right on the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
so that's not crazy because that would have been a huge part of their diet anyway. But what is a little crazy is that these are French people who were not eating cheese, eggs, meat, or milk. I don't even think you get to be French at that point.
No, I think, no. What are you?
Well, you're someone who's afraid of eating or ingesting anything that's the result of animals having sexual intercourse.
These,
Yep.
the-
Yep.
these fucking nerds.
They
These,
believed.
I'm having a hard time because on one hand it's like, this is so stupid. The death thing is so stupid. The not having kids thing is weirdly, I kind of respect it.
Yeah,
but then
for sure.
the reasoning for it is so absolutely ridiculous. At the same time, these dudes are like, nah, let's fucking blow each other until the world ends. And that I kind of love.
So, they don't eat or ingest anything that's a byproduct of sexual intercourse.
It's fucking dumb. That's
They believed that animals were reincarnated souls. So, like, that could be your grandma's eggs or milk. So that's why they didn't eat it. When you think
pass me
about it,
Hey, pass me some of that grandma milk.
milk like grandma used to make.
Oh,
So, here's what's kind of interesting about this, though. In societies where sex is highly controlled like this, there's usually a pretty big gender disparity. And it's not as big with the Cathars. Because they believe in reincarnation, women could be anybody from the past. So they just treated them pretty much the same. The only stipulation was that they did believe that your final iteration before ascending was male. So women were just people who had at least one cycle left.
Fucking okay. All right, I'm back to hating them. I forgot that they were anti-Semitic and now they're pieces of shit who are also misogynistic. They were pieces of shit when they were anti-Semitic, by the way. I'm being clear.
Yeah, they just continued.
Yeah, this is me needing to tell myself, like, fuck these people.
Yep. They also applied this to women who are written about in the Bible. So for them, Mary Magdalene is on par with the apostles, like, as far as importance in the story, which is really kind of fascinating, honestly. But they also forbade the killing of all animal life because, again, it could be grandma. Same with people, except unless you've just given them that right and you want them to, be perfect. Anyway, the group of soldiers that came back from the Crusades became aggressively anti-war as a result of these beliefs, which was unheard of at the time. This is a very, very violent time in history, and they were kind of like a peace-loving people, except for fish. They would kill any fish. For fish, it's on site, and you might be wondering why. Well, they believe that fish were produced by spontaneous generation. To reiterate that, they believed that fish were different from any other animal and just appeared. They respawned like video games. Or like, spawned like salmon, but like actually spawning.
I can't fully process how stupid these people are. This is so, look, we've been doing the show how long? 5 years or something?
5 years. 5 years
Fucking
now, yeah.
Christ on a goddamn cracker. we have made such an attempt to never blame any person that was part of a cult. But
Right.
holy shit, is this the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard of in my entire life?
To recap, God is Mr. Steal Your Girl. Jesus
Yeah.
is a hologram. This
Yeah.
is all a matrix simulation, and fish appear whenever you want them.
Did I go back in time and write this religion?
Did you?
I think I did. Other than the anti-Semitism and misogyny, this got my fucking stank all over it, Paige.
This is exactly your kind of nonsense.
This is exactly my kind of nonsense. I don't know how to. Also, okay. I have a question, and it's gonna bring down the mood a little bit.
Sure.
But it's out of curiosity. Do you think that they would be pro-life?
That's a good question.
Because they fucking hate babies, but also you're not fully a baby yet. I feel like, I don't know.
Well,
It's-
I mean, there is something to consider, and that's that attitudes around abortion and when life begins have actually changed drastically over the course of history.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, especially in the Roman Empire, widely practiced. And I mean, widely practiced. It was fairly normalized. There were known abortificants that were prescribed. Like, it was a part of everyday life. Now, under Catholic rule, not as much, because obviously they have differing beliefs around the origins of conception. But given the fact that they are not in line with Catholicism for a lot of stuff, I'd say it's a toss-up, honestly.
Yeah. I just wanted to know. Also, it's fucking awesome to know that Texas is behind ancient Rome. That's fucking sick as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm back in it. Just to recap, these fucking Matrix watching nerds
Yes.
don't believe in anything that spawns from cum and eggs. Anything that has anything to do with cum and eggs, which is a lot of life, by the way.
Yeah.
Is bad, and they refuse to have anything to do with it except for fish, which spontaneously will just
Generate.
appear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, I'm on board. I'm on
Yeah.
board. I'm back.
Fish are just a constant. Fish are always there.
I don't feel okay. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I'm having a hard time. I know I've said they're fucking stupid 18,000 times in this episode, but god damn it, Paige, this is so insane.
This is a wild, especially for the time, it's considered wild. But none of those things were enough for the church to get really mad at them. What the church got mad about was that they started advocating for the idea that scripture should be able to be read in the vernacular.
You mean not in Latin?
Yes, that's correct.
And
Now, if you know your Protestant history, you know that the church has always hated this, except this is happening more than 200 years before the printing press is invented and 300 years before Martin Luther's 95 Theses. So the church had a vested interest in controlling access to the scriptures because it allowed them to stay on top and become the one source of information for what God wanted. It also allowed them to justify things like deviant behavior or embezzlement. It's kind of a catch-all for allowing the church to remain the status quo, which keeps a lot of people rich at the expense of a lot of people staying poor. And in 1147, only 3 years after the Second Crusade, so that's how fast this spreads, Pope Eugene III, the guy who ordered the Second Crusade, sends a legate to the south of France to stop all of this Cathar nonsense. And first he sends a man named Bernard of Clairvaux. Now, Bernard gets into some small skirmishes, but he makes no real headway. And then they sent another legate, and another legate, and bishops, and legates, and more bishops. For 30 years, they send people constantly to the area. even a full armed battalion helmed by Henry of Marcy, the Cardinal Bishop of Albano. And he does take over some cities, but the movement continues. They were the topic of every Catholic council for 40 years after the Second Crusade, but nothing seemed to make a difference until Pope Innocent III came to power and made the Cathars his personal mission. First, he tried to reason with them peacefully. He would send legates to them, which didn't go great. Bishops in the area were mad that the legates had so much power, so they sided with the people. And so the Pope suspended the bishops and installed his own, and so on and so forth. And the church received word from the people in the area, one of whom would go on to achieve sainthood, Saint Dominic de Guzman, patron saint of the Dominican Republic, but also astronomers.
Okay, I love that.
He reported back to Rome that the Cathars would never convert as long as the church shunned austerity. So he was somebody that the Pope sent, and he got there and was like, yo, these are simple people, and they see the church as being this excessive, rich, domineering force. And if you just try to meet them where they are, maybe you can reason with them. And so he suggested the Catholic Church try to present a more austere face to try and reason with them. And the church was like, nah, we like our money. So in 1208, the Pope sent one last legate to the area in hopes of changing their minds. But they were kind of fucking over it. And this legate especially was a bad choice. His name was Pierre de Castelnau, and he was known for excommunicating people simply for disagreeing with him. And that's basically throwing somebody out of the church entirely.
Yeah. It basically throwing somebody out of a goddamn party because they said that the song you put on doesn't slap.
Right. When he met with the local ruler of the area, Raymond IV, the Count of Toulouse, he immediately excommunicated him for heresy, which again, as a noble, you want the church on your side. So the Count flips out. He's furious. And Pierre, confident that Raymond would just change his mind, give up, and come running back to Rome, just left. He was like, you're out. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you. Peace. And just left.
Just fucking yelling, Deborah, on his way
Deborah. out. He didn't take into account how mad Raymond was. As Pierre rode back from Rome, a group of knights from Toulouse caught up with him and brutally murdered him on the side of the road.
Whoa.
And it was a clear message to the Pope and to Rome, which left them no other choice.
Did Raymond hire those goons?
They're his knights.
Oh, man, he should have known, dude. Everybody loves Raymond.
Yep.
Sorry, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming.
Know.
I foreshadowed it.
But essentially, the Pope thinks he has no other choice, so he declares a crusade against the Cathars. And that's where we'll pick up next week.
God damn, Paige. Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. I need to process this.
That's a crusade against his own. Now, here's the tricky thing about this, because you're like, oh my God, a crusade against their own people. That's madness. And then you're like, by the way, they thought Jesus was a hologram. And you're like, well, wait, hold on.
Yeah. Jesus. I can't process how dumb this is. Okay. I need a whole week.
Hey, Mondo, I don't know if you know, but fish just like appear. Fish just show up.
Okay. All right. Here's the thing. I'm going to try to meet them at their level. Okay. I'm going to say I have the internet and years, thousands upon thousands of years of knowledge that we know that fish reproduce, make more fish, and have more. I am willing to admit that if I lived at this time and I saw a giant thing of water and I never saw fish fuck, and I also catch fish don't got no dick. Fish got no pee-pee. So how fish make sex? Fish can't make sex with no pee-pee. Okay?
I mean, you might have cut a fish open and found eggs, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I've eaten fish eggs before. That shit don't look like no egg I ever seen.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
That's what
I mean, it could just be one of those weird things that people believed at the time where they're like, cats will suck your breath out while you sleep and fish
whoa.
spontaneously generate.
Well, hold on now. That one's not that crazy. As somebody who's allergic to cats, that is what they do.
I mean, I watched my cat very, very sweetly and cutely earlier today walk over to my husband while taking a nap and then just like sidle right up next to him and just like snuggle into it. It was really cute.
Yeah, but what you're not mentioning is that when Jake woke up, he went because his soul and breath had been sucked out from his body.
By the cat, who was just chewing on them in the corner of the room.
I also like egg. Egg, you don't need sex make egg. Egg just happen. Egg exists. Why you gonna not eat egg?
You don't need sex make egg. This was so weird it broke your brain.
You don't need sex make egg. I don't understand, Paige. You don't need sex make egg. You don't need sex make milk. Okay?
Well, milk is for babies.
Milk
and you do need sex make baby.
You do need sex make baby, but you don't need sex make milk. I'm big boy, Paige. I'm big man. I drink milk.
Maybe they just didn't want you getting that big so that it was easier to smother you at the end after they give you that last right.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair point. Oh, man. Oh,
Yeah.
man. I would hate to be the guy that got made perfect and then, like, on my way out, like, farted real loud and they're like, ooh.
No, hell for you.
Sin, buddy. Oh,
Looks
my
like
God.
you're going to Satan's Steal Yo Girl depression party. Satan's real sad about his breakup, and you get to be there for all of it.
Yeah, hell in their universe is just you get there and it's him just sitting alone and you have to sit next to him as he doom scrolls through her Instagram and being like,
I get out of my brain. I was going to say that you have to sit next to him as he's like, so what do you think her text means?
So I texted her happy birthday and she responded by reacting thumbs up, but like she's into me, right? Like I remember her birthday. That means that I'm entitled to this. And you're like, whoa, Satan, buddy. Ooh, guy.
The last time I said hi, she just replied, K? What is that? It says she read this 3 hours ago.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I'm like a little insane, right? Like, yeah, the thumbs up thing, that's fucking nothing. She says K, she left me on red, all of that. But last week, I post a story from the club. She reacts fire emoji. What that mean? What if
she, like, watches all my stories but never replies?
Oh my God, I'm making my own personal hell. Look, man.
Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? So you never ever leave. Oh, that hurts my voice like a lot.
It's real bad. Look, there's
How did Blaine do this for years?
There's two people that come to hell. People that I think might be able to get Melissa back. And people who don't believe you need sex make egg.
There's two wolves inside of you. One of them knows that he loves Melissa and doesn't understand what went wrong. And the other one needs to be unleashed so that he can find a new Melissa.
Oh my God. That's so fucking everything that they believe is so ridiculous. I love them. This is perfect. This is the perfect cult. Oh.
Now you understand why I was like, I'm going to go deep diving on the Inquisition.
Yes, absolutely. This is insanity. I love it. Thank you genuinely thank you so much for this.
Anytime.
Oh, hey, look, here's the thing. If you are trying to hang out with me and get to know me and eat a couple eggs, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying. It really did break my brain. Look, if you like me want to just hang out, eat some eggs, drink some milk, be a big strong boy, and not make children, then, you know, I'm very easy to find on the internet at Mondo Does Stuff, Mando Does Stuff, all one word. I'm on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, baby. Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say right now, actually, is find me on my personal social media so that you can support me in the things that I do personally. And that's it.
There you go.
Thank you. Good
Yes.
night. Mwah.
Hey, it's your girl, Paige Wesley. You can hear me on Horror Virgin Romancing the Pod like you always do. But if you are in Los Angeles on Halloween night, you should definitely come see Roast Battle live at the Comedy Store. It is all of the best battlers from all over the world. They're flying people in from the UK, from all over America. It is going to be lit. And you should definitely come see that. You can follow me on Instagram at Rampage Wesley, or on TikTok at Rampage Wesley, or Twitter at Paige Wesley for details. I love you so much. Bye.
And hey, if you want to support the show, following us is a great way to do so. You can do that on Instagram at Cult Podcast.
Or on Twitter at Cult Podcast Show.
You can also follow us, or not follow us. You can send us an email. You know, one of them. You know what, Elliot? Cut that. Let me just start it over. There's no bit that saves me being broke brain. If you want to send us an email, you can to cultpodcastshow@gmail.com.
And if you think No Need Sex Make Egg,
No Need
you can
Sex
send
Make
us
Egg.
eggs at 3756 West Avenue 40, Suite K, number egg 37, Los Angeles, California, 9 egg 65. And I think for this one, I'm going to say, no need sex, drink milky milks, and don't drink the Kool-Aid. Bye.
I can't fucking breathe. It's like a cat is over me while I sleep. I can't breathe. Oh my God. Have a good night. I fucking love you.